Hello and good day. It's Travel Talk Thursday with Travel Time. This is Lois, and I'm pleased to have a guest with me today that we'll all be very anxious to hear from and everything that she has to say to give us some wanderlust for next year's travel to Ireland. Welcome to the Travel Talk, Orla Killeen. Thank you for joining us with Royal Irish Tours.
Yes, thank you, Lois. Happy to be here. I'm still in Canada time, so I'm not in Ireland, but still, as you said, we can all dream about being there.
For sure. And we are interested in hearing some information from Royal Irish Tours on what they have planned that's new and exciting. And I understand that you have some pictures to show us as well, to show us a little bit of the Irish countryside as you talk to us about the Royal Irish Tours experience. I know a lot of people are interested in this type of travel, and Ireland is very high on the bucket list for everybody. Probably all of our viewers, Newfoundlanders, identify as Irish as much as Newfoundland a lot of times. And the whole experience of being on a coach tour, some of our listeners won't have had that experience in the past. And I know you guys do it really well. So if you can give us information and tell us about that, that would be great.
Yes, no problem. And as you said, the amount of people who have ancestry and even sound like they're from Ireland. It was my first time in Newfoundland in January. And I had to at times look around and kind of remind myself I'm not in Kerry, in parts of Ireland, in the Southern Ireland. Honestly, the accents are so similar, and I think it's a very it's a nice thing when you get to Ireland and they hear that, because it was lovely for me to hear in Newfoundland. So like that, as you said, it's just really, really lovely to be here and to be chatting about Ireland. And we do, a lot of what we do are the escorted coach tours. So really from the get-go, how that's kind of organized is you would have a driver and a guide. So you do have two people on board. So one is just concentrating on the driving, and then you have your guide. So up until this point, we only took 38 guests. So we didn't like to kind of take any more than that, but the vehicle is a large vehicle. So what we've done now is we've dropped that number to 30 for next year and increased the size of the vehicle as well, which is nice. Remove some seats for, the long-legged people like myself. Plenty of space, but then that way you can avail of the social distancing and put up the perspective in the coach and everything that we need to do to follow all the protocols. But as well as that, so we do have another coach tour option. So the first one, that would be kind of the main tour if people wanted to go and they're going to Ireland once and once only. It's called the Shamrock Royal. So it's a 2-week tour, 15 day and 14 night. So that will be 30 passengers. But then there is the deluxe option as well, and it's a maximum of 26 guests. So there is two different options there for guests as well, and we're very excited for next year to get everybody back on the coaches. So I've just got some pictures here to get everybody dreaming of what you would see and what it's like. So of course this year we did postpone everything for 2020. So just due to the quarantine here in Canada and also the quarantine in Ireland, we said, you know what, let's just leave it for 2020. But we're very excited to launch 2021 and 2022 at the same time in September. So that way clients can start planning ahead, because a lot of people are, I guess, 99% who were traveling with us this year just postponed till next year. So although people aren't thinking that far ahead, there's a number of departures that are already sold out. So it's great to kind of just get in there ahead of time and have the space reserved. And of course, we've changed lots and lots of our policies too. So it's kind of very flexible for people to book and very comfortable as well. So it's just deposit first, and then right up until 30 days, they can actually change their date, change their departure location. If they wanted to go to Scotland instead, it's very easy to change it for the next 18 months. So that's another reason that people should get in nice and early to make sure that they have their space, and then it's kind of secure and it's not, there's no rushing at the end and people being disappointed.
So that's a really good point. I know that people, right now everybody's anxious to travel and things like that. And I think that will be the surprise that people will have, is that some of their choices, if they don't get on board now, some people are waiting until this is all over and they can travel. That will be a little bit late, I think, because as you said, some of your tours are already sold out. So we wouldn't want people to be disappointed. And this, with the flexible terms, it makes sense to plan ahead and do it.
Exactly. And that's also why we're going to be launching 2022 at the same time, because we understand that some people are thinking, okay, next year is a little bit too soon for me. I would prefer to kind of do it in 2022, and that's why the option is there as well. So we didn't ever have that before, and now that it's great that the option is, but at least then at the same time, it's comfort for ye and comfort for the clients to know we're here, we're not going anywhere. So if you want to do it for next year and then you decide closer to the time, actually, I would prefer not to, that's no problem. You just tell us the dates that you want to change to. It's as simple as that. So very, very easily done. And with the coach tours, as you mentioned, it is kind of a major part of what we do. So as well as having, you know, you're on a group with 30 guests. So you do have that group aspect if there was even people who were traveling by themselves, or a smaller group of friends, or whatever the case may be. It's a chance to have that kind of friendship as well. And we've had people who will continue to travel with each other, and maybe do Ireland first, then maybe go to Scotland and do another tour, and then maybe rent a car. So you do make friends for life on them. But as well, if you're looking for some a type of tour where, you know, it's just ease from the get-go, you know, you've all of your breakfasts included daily, you know, really nice high-end accommodation, number of evening meals, and your attractions already covered, and you get to put up your feet and you don't have to concentrate on driving yourself, then this is the best option for you. It really is a fantastic way to get into the countryside, but also when you're in the city, have the guide, but also free time. So we ourselves, well, the owner, Ian Duffy, he's from Dublin. I'm actually from the West, but we are all from Ireland, a number of us who work in the company. And, you know, the tour styles that we've put together, as well as what's included on the tours, it's very important for us to kind of put across and to get the authentic feel in the tours. So what makes us excited, that's what we wanted to put in the tours. So, you know, I've taken a couple of our own tours ourselves. I took one to Scotland. I had never been there before myself, and it really is kind of in with the locals, and it's just spectacular to go on a coach. I would travel that way again, and a lot of people are like, I'm not too sure about, you know, traveling with people on a coach, but it's leisurely. I was not up at the crack of dawn. Everything was organized for me, so it really is a good option.
That's good to know as well. And we have had that experience too with some of our guests that maybe had a little bit of hesitancy about the idea of a coach tour, but then realizing that, you know, the pace is really good and you're with like-minded people. That's the other plus. It's all people who are interested in the culture, the history, the land, the sightseeing that you're doing. So it's like doing it with 29 of your closest friends. So what could be better than that?
Exactly. And it's nice to even come down in the morning if I was getting up a bit earlier than everybody else who was in my party, I could meet people at breakfast and chat to them. As you said, we're all there for, you know, to experience the history and the culture, and, you know, to meet the people and all of that. And we all, with our Irish ancestry, have that draw to the place as well. So it's great. But then on the other side of things, not everybody wants to travel by coach, and we do acknowledge and understand that. So when I say we kind of offer and cater to any sort of traveler, we do, in that, you know, we do have the coach tours. So there's a number of departures 4 times a week. Our Shamrock Royal 2-week tour would go. Then our deluxe coach tour would go once a week. And then we have a couple of more options, but we do have smaller sightseeing tours. So there's a couple of different options. One is kind of the same style as the coach tour, breakfast daily, number of evening meals, and your attractions, but there's only 16 passengers on the coach. So it's a much smaller group. And also it would be a smaller portion to a larger group, in that or a larger portion to your holiday, I should say, in that you'd need a pre and a post night in Dublin City. So it might just be a 4-night away out to the west, and then, you know, spend a couple of nights in Dublin. So there's lots and lots of tours that can be put together, or tour styles. And it's great that you've been to Ireland yourself, in that you know what you're talking about as well. And then also working with us to put something together for your clients, depending on the dates. So that's a good option as well for sightseeing tours. We do that in Ireland and in the UK. And I guess it's good to note that we are, you know, experts in what we do, and that we only focus on Ireland and the UK. So we're not, trying to take on too much. That's where we know, that's where we love, and that's what we've concentrated on. So as well, in the UK, we use a company called Rabbies. So these get really into the countryside, I mean off the beaten track, 16 passenger coaches again. And then a company called Vagabond in Ireland. So, on the parallel to a leisurely coach tour, this is up early and you're hiking and you're cycling and you're horse riding, and that's 13 guests. So there alone just shows you the variety in client that whatever it is that you're looking for, we will have something that will suit them.
It sounds like you certainly have all the bases covered there. And back to your point about saying how the accents and stuff are so similar. It's just a funny story. When I visited Ireland, I feel like I spent my whole lifetime correcting my dad for saying tree instead of three. Oh. And when I got to Ireland, everybody said tree. So I said, maybe he was correct all the time. So we'll stop that correction from now on and just enjoy the culture and the language.
Exactly. I mean, there are certain things, and that, my mother was a teacher. She is a teacher. So, and I did speech and drama. So they'd be trying to correct you on certain things, but then you're like, yeah, but everybody says it this way. So it just comes out in part of what you say. And again, when I was in Newfoundland, it's the same thing. The things that I wouldn't have heard only from my friends in the smallest town in County Kerry, a rural village. And I'm thinking, where am I? Am I actually in Canada? And it is. It's great to hear it, and it's very, very comforting. And that's why there's a draw to Ireland for people. And it is. It's very, very nice. The people are definitely a major part of why people want to go and why people should go and come and chat to us. We are a very friendly bunch.
And look at this scenery, like the picture you're showing right now. I mean, the scenery is definitely a big draw as well. It's not like anything you've seen anywhere else, and I can say that from having traveled around over there.
Yes, exactly. Well, this one is kind of, it's on the west. So we have 2,500 kilometer driving route called the Wild Atlantic Way. So a number of you might have heard of this before. It's really, really spectacular. Lots and lots of lighthouses, and a lot of the hotels are right on the edge of the Atlantic as well. So it's very, very nice scenery, and lots of walks. And then this is down south. This is Skellig Michael. So people might recognize it from Star Wars. The Last Jedi was filmed here. So it is UNESCO World Heritage Site, and we do have a number of them, but you can take a boat tour, and it just kind of shows you, we do have wonderful cities and lovely little towns, but it just takes a couple of hours to get into the countryside. Like top to bottom of Ireland is probably maybe 5.5 hours to drive, which you think, oh, I can do it in a day. But you can't. You'd need 2 weeks to do all of Ireland, or to see a lot of Ireland anyway, because there's so much to see in between, and hidden gems, and that as well, Lois. There's so many. Yes. You might think there's nothing to see between here and here, but I could give you an itinerary that you could spend a week getting between Galway and Dublin. So then this one is just showing one of the national parks. This is actually in Scotland though. And this is the Isle of Skye. So I was here last October, and again, very, very similar to Ireland, lakes and that kind of brown, luscious look as well. And then Snowdonia National Park in Wales as well. So we do kind of offer the three places, but Ireland is definitely closest to our heart in the main part of where we sell, and definitely for you out there in Newfoundland as well. So it really is just nice to get into the countryside. And now with social distancing kind of being the norm, it's certainly going to be something that people are looking at more going into. And I mean, there's a number of different accommodations to stay at. So if you're not somebody who wants to do, let's say, a coach tour or a smaller sightseeing tour, you can rent a car and go off yourself. Or if you are not interested in driving, but you want to be on your own, kind of in that feel in a car, there are chauffeur drivers / guides as well. So there really is kind of an option for everyone. But with the accommodation, the good thing is we actually have an office in Dublin ourselves. So everything is booked directly through them, and then they contact the hotels for us. So if it's a castle you want to stay at, if it's a B&B, we do have a wonderful B&B program as well. So it can be very affordable for people who want to just rent the car and stay somewhere that's going to be comfortable, has a bed, and you get a decent breakfast. If you want to be out all day and it doesn't really bother you to stay in a nice castle or a hotel, then it's a perfect option for you. But if you want to go and get the spa and do a round of golf. But as well, you know, there's falconry at a lot of these manors and castles. There's also fishing and cycling and a number of wonderful restaurants as well. So it really just does depend on what it is that you want to get out of your trip. And certainly, I know over the past couple of months, things have been a little, well, not a little, they've been very crazy for everybody. And it is kind of a bit of an unusual time. But people in Ireland, like I'm from there, I said I'm from the West. So my parents and lots of my friends have been visiting a number of different hotels and attractions. And they said, you know, although everyone now has to social distance and you have to pre-book everything, the experience is probably better than it was before because you're not hitting all of these crowds. So at least that's a positive to come out of this, is that you're going to have to pre-book, and you know, your slot is there, and there's no surprises when you get there thinking, oh, I have to wait 2 hours in a queue. It's not like going to, you know, Walmart here or going to Costco here where you have to wait in the queue to get your groceries. It'll be pre-booked. So that's also good to know too. And we're very excited for next year in that we think a lot of people, if you want to go and rent a car or do the chauffeur drive, we will pre-book all of the accommodations naturally, but also the attractions for them. So if it's on a coach tour, everything will be pre-booked and timed anyway. But with the driving holiday, you will now probably need to book, I think, moving forward. And it's no harm, as I said, to do it. And we can book them through the Dublin office. So it's a nice package all together, ready to go. You have your car, clear accommodations, breakfasts. If you want to, you know, book an evening meal in the hotel, we can do that for you. Just have everything nicely packaged together. I think that'll be very, very beneficial to people and a very popular way to travel as well for next year.
For sure. I'm thinking back to my stay at Ashford Castle, and I can say it was one of the most memorable hotel stays I've ever had anywhere. It's not like something that, it's really hard if you haven't been there and seen it. I know our listeners, it's, you know, I can just say that it's really hard to imagine what's like.
Of all properties, yes. I mean, you didn't start, you know, on your way up with a nice 4.5 or even a 4-star castle, which can be gorgeous. This is, you know, Ashford Castle is really the top property in Ireland, but it just shows you. And I think really what makes the difference is the people. And, you know, people have been working there for years and years, and the stories that they have and the passion that you can tell they love where they are and they love where they're working, that really makes a difference as well. So I've just got a few more pictures along here for you. So obviously history and culture is very big in Ireland. As we were talking about, the ancestry is huge, and it's really nice. It is to stay in a castle, as you said, Lois. It just kind of wraps everything up nicely. But there's lots and lots of attractions to see. So if you don't want to go into a museum, then there's lots of attractions like this. This is Newgrange, so it's another UNESCO World Heritage Site out in the countryside in County Meath. So there's just a number of different attractions that are just spectacular to go and see, even if you don't want to go in and do a museum. But as I said, everything is going to be pre-booked anyway, so it's fine. And then one of my personal favorites, this is the Giant's Causeway. So this is just up in Northern Ireland, just outside Belfast. I'll leave the story of how this was formed to your guide once you get there. There is 2 stories. There's, you know, the geographical reasons, and then there's the myth, and I prefer the myth story. And you'll find that in Ireland, and I'm sure it's the same culture in Newfoundland where you've got all of these myths and stories. And I know, I'll just tell one story that I have. So there's a motorway built between Dublin and Limerick, and it was delayed for 10 years because there was a fairy tree in the way. And, you know, they didn't want to knock down the tree. Any of the locals know that that's very, very bad luck to anyone in the area, because it was a meeting point for fairies from the 2 different provinces. And they said, I'm not knocking it down. And 10 years later, they had to build around it. Now, I mean, you can't see anything other than the tree. It doesn't have a sign or anything, but that's a big part, you know, of us as well. And those kind of stories really do make it up, as well as these locals that you'll find in Scotland, the Highland Coos as well. And getting into the countryside, you're going to come across a couple of issues, but that's okay. They're locals, they know what they're doing and where they're going. And as I said, there's so many different accommodations, but it's good to note that, you know, we do have the office in Dublin. and they're able to kind of get whatever it is that you're looking for, be it with, you know, a 4-star or even a really, really nice 3-star in Dublin City. They can be spectacular and have really, really nice character to them. So it's great to have them there to book everything for us. This one is actually Dromoland Castle, so this is very close to where I'm from in the west. But again, it just kind of shows you the different styles that you can stay at, and even if it's only one night, I would still highly recommend it. So I did mention we're looking forward to 2021 and 2022 together, but I know now if people wanted to book, you're going to get the best price and that you're going to get 2020 pricing. So until it's officially launched for 2021 and 2022, we can get you 2020 prices. And even, to be honest, most people and most properties and attractions for next year, because this year was really a pause year, they haven't increased an awful lot, which is really nice as well, because every year people anticipate it's going to go up, you know, a couple of hundred, and it hasn't really, which is good.
If you can just speak a little bit about any promos that you have oncoming. And the other, I know that we have some listeners and some avid clients who are solo travelers. So if you could just speak to what your solo program is for 2021 and 2022, that would be helpful.
Yes, yeah. So we do have a single supplement, and the reason is because in Ireland, you do have to pay per person per room as opposed to per person. That's just the way that they've done it in Ireland. So there is a small single supplement depending on the tour, but you know, it's not something that we like sharing with someone you don't know at the same time. And people prefer that too. You know, they would prefer to do a single room than share with someone, which is fine. But if you're looking at even a sightseeing tour or something like that, the prices are very, very reasonable. And we've tried to keep them, you know, down as much as we can, because it's important for people, you know, to know that they're getting a good tour and that it's not going to be extremely overpriced, because there's different sorts of travelers everywhere, and we want everybody to be able to go and experience it. We also do rail tours as well, which is another great option. But yeah, as regards promos for right now, it's sticking with the 2020 pricing, and then we'll be launching 2021 and 2022 in September, and then that will get the ball rolling for lots and lots of things that we will have coming for next year and the year after. But I definitely think you know, the fact that we can pre-book everything and all of the attractions, and that's no extra cost, you know, to you or to the clients or anything like that. It's just something that we want to offer, in that our Dublin office just pick up the phone and they book it with the attraction. So it's very, very easy for us to do. And it's good for you, Lois, because you've had, you know, a tough year as well, and we appreciate everything that you do. So it's just nice to have everything kind of compact and ready for your clients.
Well, I can say, by virtue of having you on the Travel Time Thursday talk, Royal Irish Tours comes very highly recommended from Travel Time, and we have a high level of satisfaction in working with Royal Irish Tours, as well as client experiences. So we do want to thank you for that, and the level of consistency puts a great deal of confidence for us going forward into 2021 for any clients that would like to experience Ireland. And with so many different ways that you offer to do it, like, there is truly something for everyone, whether they like the more independent route or a small tour or even a private tour. You know, you offer everything. So it's just really up to the clients and what their comfort level is and their motivation to see Ireland. And we know that the motivation to see Ireland is very high from here in Newfoundland and across Canada too, I'm sure.
Well, thank you. No, I do appreciate all the kind words that you're saying about Royal Irish, and it is just nice to be able to give some advice as well with, you know, if people were tracing their routes. Obviously that's a huge thing. We work very well with both of the, you know, Belfast Titanic Centre, but also the Titanic Centre in Cove, and then also the Epic Museum in Dublin. So those would have been the three main ports where a lot of people emigrated from, and they do exceptional work. But even, you know, given a little bit of advice on how long would you think it'll take to get from here to here, or is this possible in a day, or, you know, you being there as well, Lois, it's perfect, because, you know, your clients can ask you, okay, I'd like to drive now this time, or I will go on the coach tour and maybe I'll go back again to do a driving holiday and slot in the things that I heard about but I didn't know about, then we can just help you put it all together. So it isn't just what you find, let's say, on our website. It's kind of, as you said, something for everyone. But obviously, we've put those tours together and put in what we think and what we recommend is what you need to see. Another great tour, though, is the Irish Twist. So a lot of people would see the Cliffs of Moher on the actual island, but on the cliffs, on the Irish Twist, you can see it by boat. So people can actually understand how big they are and how ginormous they are and really, really appreciate them. And I just think that's another really, really nice week-long tour. So the itineraries are very detailed in that you can have a read through them. And I would always recommend that to people. If you know you want to go, but you're not sure what there is, just read through the brochure. And then that way, let us, work with Lois to put together whatever it is you want. If it's a couple of nights in the city and then go on a driving holiday or take the coach, it really is kind of something that we can put together very, very easily at ease for us. It makes us excited. I'm excited to go back every time.
I can say that having done a little bit both ways, both like as a coach tour and as a private drive, I can say that both have their different definite advantages. And I did like both equally. And so I don't know that I would be able to say to somebody, oh, for sure, do it this way or do it the other way. It just depends on the purpose of the trip, who's traveling, and how much ease and convenience you want, like without having to figure out which way the road forks and where you should turn, to, being taken and it being so seamless. And when you get to the historic sites, a lot of times, having somebody explain in the car or on the coach as you go, that has a lot of value because you understand it more, you appreciate it more, and it's more meaningful when you're there, when you've had the full explanation, and the explanation from a local is really valuable as well.
Oh, absolutely. And it is very important to note that you are in the car by yourself. So you're probably going to be somebody who has read a lot of information or like finding things out yourself. But for a lot of people, I know for me, I don't mind driving, but I would prefer to go on a coach for that reason. And even, if you get as far as, let's say, Derry City, you take a tour with a local guide, and it's not someone who has, read a history book and that's all. The gentleman that we use, he actually grew up in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. So often he would bring people to tears, and it really is that kind of authenticity in the tour too, in that this isn't something that he made up. This is something that he's actually been through. And we work with a number of local guides all over. But at the same time, if you did want to slot that in on a driving holiday or a chauffeur drive, you now have the option to do it. So that's another kind of string to our bow that we've added in, that we can cater to everybody. And you can have a little bit of that authenticity as well. So it does just depend on the client.
Well, this has been a really informative session, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share with our Travel Time Talk and with our clients today. And if there's anybody that got further questions, they can certainly reach out and we can get them answers or options, anything that they have as questions regarding a trip to Ireland for 2021. We would be more than happy to hear from them. And Orla, we appreciate your time very much today. And thank you very much for stopping by for our Travel Talk.
You're welcome, Lois. You've just gotten me so much more excited about going too. So we'll get there soon, no doubt.
We will. Thank you so much.
Yeah, take care, Lois. Bye.